Hey guys, Omar here, broker and CEO of Alden Mortgage and Omar Realty. So as a mortgage broker, as a mortgage broker here in the state of California, the biggest thing that we have whenever we're dealing with any type of mortgaging product is, do we buy down the rate? So this is kind of a loaded question because it's hard to answer it. If we were 1 year ago, forget 1 year ago, even if we were 6 months ago, currently we're sitting in April 2022. If we're 6 months ago, I would say, no, you don't need to buy down your rate. It doesn't really make too much sense if your loan amount is very, very specific. But if you have a higher loan amount, you'll have to go ahead and adjust accordingly. So the reason why I say it's kind of a loaded question is because ultimately what you're doing is you're trying to save yourself as much money as you possibly can, right? You are trying to make sure that you don't pay X amount of dollars over what you really, really had to pay. So for instance, last year was really, really great. I would actually buy, if I had a $500,000 lien against my property with a mortgage, I would go ahead and buy down my rate as much as I possibly can. Hell, if I could go down to a 15-year, I would have gone down to a 15-year. But the reason why I say it's a loaded question now is now that interest rates have gone up, you have to look at different mortgaging products to go ahead and see, hey, does this make sense to me? So let's say, for instance, hypothetically, right now we're in April 2022 and we are teetering around the 5% range. Now you say, Omar, I have a mortgage that I'm going to go ahead and buy. The mortgage rate is at 4.95, 5.25, whatever it might be at that time. Should I just buy down to 4.5 and pay like $10,000 or $15,000? Or should I go with something on an adjustable rate mortgage to go ahead and save myself a lot? Because an adjustable rate mortgage, like let's say for instance an 8.6 right now, right? An 8.6 or a 10.6 or even like a 5.6. What that is it stays interest only for 5 years. Then it gets adjusted to the cap on your product every 6 months after that to the current market. Now, that's one of those things that you have to, am I going to go ahead and save that much money to go ahead and not have to pay that extra amount when I'm actually getting that 5%? Ultimately, yeah, 4.5% to 3.35%. If you're going to the 8.6 rather than the 30-year fix, it actually makes more sense because, so you're going to be at 4.5%. So you could do the math. I'll actually put the link in the description below. You could go to my website. There's calculators there. So you could actually take the exact loan amount that you have and you could kind of play it around with it to see exactly how much you would save over the course of X amount of years, to see how much you will actually be paying in interest from one rate to another rate. So my question would be, whenever you are asking, hey, should I buy down my rate? Well, what are the other loan options that you have available to you? How much would it cost for us to go ahead and refinance you after a year? Do you project that the interest rates are going to go ahead and increase or decrease? Now, currently, typically, I'm only going to say currently, because God knows what's going to happen in the next 5 to 8 years. But currently, the mortgage on a 30-year is going to be at 5, and the mortgage on a 8.6 is going to be at 3.35. That's where we're at. So that is, you could do the math on that. That is an extraordinarily big difference in rates. But the thing is you don't have to buy down a rate on one of them, and to go from 5 to 4.5, you're going to have to pay between $10,000, $15,000, however much it will end up costing to go ahead and buy down that rate. So whenever you do think about, hey, should I go ahead and buy down my rate? Well, first of all, go ahead and see what if you are going to keep your 30-year fixed mortgage for the whole entire 30 years, which please understand, majority of people do not. Majority people refinance because, let's just face it, life happens. You're going to go ahead and birthdays, college, this and that. There are other things where you do home equity line of credits, but those fall under the adjustable rate mortgages too, because home equity line of credits is only fixed interest only for 10 years, and then it adjusts to an adjustable rate mortgage after that for 20 years, amortized. What do? I say, go with the lower cost and then just go ahead and go from there. I say don't be tied into a 30-year mortgage. Now, that is a personal opinion. Of course, do whatever makes sense to you. But if you are going to keep something for 30 years and you know you're not going to be messing with anything and it's going to cost you an extra, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 extra in interest payments that you don't have to pay if you pay an initial $10,000 to buy down a rate, then yeah, of course, by all means. But whenever you are thinking about buying down a rate, make sure you explore all mortgaging options. How much would it cost to go ahead and refinance out of that later on down the road? Would it make sense if I project that the interest rates are going to be, let's say, for instance, if you are at 3.35%, 3.25% right now on an 8.6 in 8 years when it's time to refinance versus the 5 that you would be on a 30-year fixed, is the cost going to make up for it? Right now on a $500,000 it does, like by a lot, like by a ton. I mean, even though it's an interest only for 8 years, you could still go ahead and make your principal and interest payments. We'll go ahead and give you the numbers. We'll calculate it for you. And you could make those same amount of payments. You could actually go more than if you like. And you could save yourself a ton of money. So, to answer your question, should you buy down a rate? Only if it makes sense. Only if you think that you're going to keep it for 30 years and if the rate makes sense rather than what other mortgaging products have. I always suggest to go down with the lower one, 15-year, whatever it costs. The only good thing about having a higher interest rate whenever you are dealing with the mortgage is that is actually interest that you get to write off on your taxes, which is awesome. But for the most of us, we don't want to go ahead and deal with too much of that. We want to see that initial savings. And if you do, that's how you do it. So to answer your question, should you buy down a rate? Hell if I know. I don't know. It's as long as it makes sense to you, it'll make sense to me. Use the calculators or call me. Link in the description below. DM me. We could talk about it. We could do whatever you want, and we could kind of figure things out. Or shoot a comment down below, and I'll price out a few things for you so you kind of see the difference between payments, how much the life of the loan will cost you, how much will it cost you to do X, Y, and Z, and we could kind of figure things out together. Because whenever you are dealing with one broker or one lending institution or whoever you're doing your mortgaging through, there's something that's called streamlining, where even though it costs you a lot in the beginning, because you have to pay so much, whenever you refinance, you don't really have to worry about too much as long as you stay with the same person. And that is actually called streamlining, where the cost is like way less. So if you like the content, like, subscribe, comment for up to 50% commission rebate on your real estate purchase, 0% listing fee on selling your current home or any mortgaging assistance. Link in the description below. And if you notice, I have music in the beginning and the intro. I'm going to go ahead and, because people apparently like the music that I put on, but most of you probably hate it anyway because it's like that EDM house music. But I'll put jazz. If you like any specific genre of music, let me know down there. I'll pop it in one of the videos. And yeah, you could listen to the rest of the song at the end of this. So hit that ring bell notification. Help a brother out. Thanks.